Hey there. So I'm kind of starting a new video series in which I talk about. Yep, that's my romance, and she was the subject of, or the photo subject for the A Silent Moment album. Now she's gone. No, I'm not. Hey there. So I'm going to be starting a video series in which I talk about one of my songs that I worked on in the past, and essentially talk about how I composed and orchestrated it. So if this video seems to do fairly well, I'll probably film some more videos similar to this in the future. And by the way, feel free to recommend songs that you'd like to see me cover for future videos, because even though I have a list of songs that I would personally like to cover, I will happily accommodate your requests. So the song that I'm going to be covering today is called the Siren Begotten from my album A Silent Moment. So if you haven't listened to that song yet, I personally recommend that you listen to it before watching this video. So the key signature for this song is F sharp minor, and throughout the song it places very heavy emphasis on the tonic and also the dominant, which in this key signature is the F sharp and C sharp respectively. And throughout the song, the piano is used to sort of drive the song forward while the orchestra becomes louder while it sort of builds upon itself. So let's examine the first 18 seconds. So for the piano VST, that is the grandeur from native instruments. And for the violins and also the rest of the orchestra throughout the song, except for the female vocalization that comes in at about the climax, that is from East West Symphonic Orchestra Gold. So for this section, there's only the piano, which plays 3 notes, and the violin ensemble, which plays 2 separate triads. So I'll illustrate these visually through the piano. Now for the section succeeding the previous section that we talked about, the piano's passage actually remains the exact same, except for the F sharp and C sharp, we play them as octaves, except for the G sharp. And playing octaves sort of helps to open up the track a little more, especially in terms of the frequency spectrum, which is the sort of general orchestral like theme throughout the track, if that makes sense, because the track is slowly becoming, larger and, grander sounding and all that. So let's take a listen to exactly what I'm talking about for the piano section here. See, that's what I'm talking about. It feels, like it's larger, if that makes sense, instead of simply playing single notes. So for the string section, the violins play the same 2 triads, though now there are cellos that are playing below the violins, which act as some sort of semblance of harmonic movement. So let's listen to what the string section sounds like with the cellos playing with the violins. Sorry. Here we go. So do you feel the increase in like size with the cellos. So instead of the song focusing primarily on the higher frequency range, we now have some at least moderately low end frequencies playing. To avoid the piano becoming too boring, in the next section, there's a somewhat low C sharp that is played inside the bass, as well as a broken F sharp minor chord, which ends on a G sharp. So let's take a listen to that. Change the solo section quick. And here we are. So inside the same section, but in the second iteration, halfway through the measure, there's an F sharp that gets played twice before climbing up to a G sharp. So let's take a listen to that. So these two sections for the piano help to continue to drive the song forward while the song is still growing. The violins and cellos stay the same. However, there are now double basses that play the same line as the cellos, just about an octave lower. The addition of the double basses helps to give a lot of low end to the track, and thus a lot more, weight, strength, size, etc., and all that. So let's take a listen to that. It's again solo, just the string section. Yeah, here we go. Do you feel that? It's large and thick and all that. Thickety thick. For the next section, the piano plays the broken chord in roughly the same fashion, though there's a low rhythmic C sharp that is played about 3 times, with another C sharp that is played about an octave lower the third time. So let me show you what I'm talking about there. Let me solo the piano there and go to U. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. The strings remain the same. However, there is now the addition of a male choir, which I'll show you what it sounds like now. Let me make sure I'm at the correct position here. I'm going to solo the strings and I'm going to solo the choir as well. So the choir essentially plays the same notes as the cellos and double basses. However, they also sing a perfect fifth chord. I'm honestly not fully sure of the musical terminology for this sort of chord, so if someone knows exactly what this sort of chord is called, you could leave that in the comments, because I'm honestly kind of curious what it's called, since I don't know. But yeah, so it sort of plays that, fifth chord instead of a single C sharp, which sort of helps to fill out the, mid frequency range is about where the choir is, I think. For the section succeeding the previous section, the piano plays the same broken chord and also sort of diddles around the scale a very small bit. And additionally, there are 0 rests for the piano from this point on through the climax. And again, the way that the piano is sort of arranged like this, it drives the song forward. It drives the song forward. So let's sort of see that in action. Make sure I so the piano here. Forward a little bit, and here we are. Now, additionally, with these strings and choir, there's now a female vocalization that sings the same three notes that the piano actually played when the song first started. So that's sort of a like musical reference, or like, you know, a motif or theme or something like that. And then for the actual virtual instrument that I used for the female vocalization, that is Hey Dio's Jennifer, which I want to say I'm pronouncing correctly, but I don't know for sure. For the virtual instruments that I used throughout the song, I'll probably post some links to them in a comment down below. But regardless, let's listen to the strings, choir, and Hey Dio's Jennifer. Solo string, solo the strings, solo the choir. Here we are. See, with the female vocalization there, the frequency like of her voice, it is very sharp, so it pokes out of the mix very well. And her voice also has like a ton of power, so it sort of gives that like really, you know, like sharp, you know, sound to the song, or for this section specifically. So these are the three notes that she sings. This repeats once. So for the second time that she sings these like three notes, the third note that she sings is actually a C sharp, and it's also the highest note that she sings. And also, don't forget that C sharp is the dominant for the scale that we are in. So let's listen to that. Really high, you know, strong, fierce there. For the final section, the broken chord that is played by the piano throughout is now played in octaves. The cellos play a major third from E, which is G sharp, to add some more thickness to the track. And along with Jennifer, we have some French horns playing some melodies and countered to each other to sort of give Jennifer's melodic vocalizing some more strength. So let's listen to what the French horns sound like themselves, so you sort of see like what's happening exactly with the French horns. So hold on, let me, yeah. So, sorry. Large, wide, huge, loud, etc., etc., etc. So now, here is what this section sounds like with the entire orchestra. So the orchestra is in full force. There's a rolling cymbal and also a rolling timpani that are heard just before the climax. And then there's a singular hit from the timpani, which makes the entire song pull back. After about 2 measures, the piano comes in by itself and then plays the same theme that was heard at the start of the song twice, and then fades away. So let's demonstrate that. So this track was designed with a somewhat specific scene in mind, like a scene in which there's a siren that slowly, rises from the sea, and the water and sky are sort of reacting to her rise. And the vocalization that is present near the end of the song is meant to represent the siren itself. And then at the end, the tumultuous, birth into the world by the siren is finished, and then she swims out into the depths of the sea, or something like that. To be honest, I don't really have a super concrete vision in mind, but this is what really seemed to stick with me with this song. So if you've made it to the very end of this video, thank you. I hope that you enjoyed me talking about how I orchestrated and composed this song, and if there's a certain song that you would like to see me cover for a future video, feel free to let me know. By the way, I have a Patreon that, if you quite enjoy what I do and you would like to support me financially, that's an option for you. Which, speaking of the Patreon, by the way, that sheet music there, that's for the piano song called A Silent Moment that I finished, which if you pledge, I believe it's about $10, you can get access to that through Patreon, plus sheet music for some other piano songs that I'll be developing in the future. I think Loss of Time is probably gonna be the next one that I transcribe. Thanks again for watching, and I should have another song finished in about a week or two, hopefully. See you guys.